Welcome to this video on the SciScript module. My name is Arjun Prakash and I'm a software developer at Scientifica. SciScript is a scripting language made available as an add-on module to be used with SciScan, Scientifica's open source software for multiphoton microscopy. It provides a macro-like functionality, letting the user automate repetitive tasks which are normally carried out using the SciScan main user interface. Hence, you may notice the terms SciScript and macro being used interchangeably. It's assumed that the user is already familiar with using the SciScan software and the position save module. If not, you might want to watch the relevant videos which explains these concepts before watching this video. To demonstrate the SciScript module, we have set up a Galvo system and will be imaging a pollen grain slide. This should work in the same way for a resonance system as well, with some minor changes which I shall explain. You can launch the SciScript user interface from plugins and selecting SciScript module, which brings up the interface. When you launch SciScript, you get two options that you can select. So you could either load the macro or the script that you were working on previously, or you could start with a fresh macro. In this example, we'll create a macro from scratch, which acquires 2D frame scans from two different positions, and it does this repetitively with a time delay in between. The available actions tree gives you the list of the different actions that can be configured using the macro. So this list can vary depending on the system that you're using. Since I'm using a Galvo system, I've got the 2D line scan option, which if you're using a resonance system, you won't have. But the rest of it should remain the same. Since we want to acquire multiple frame scans, we would want to loop. So I'll start off by dragging and dropping a loop start. This brings up a window where I can enter the number of loops required. So I'll just go ahead and enter a value and OK. So now we have the action loop.start in the macro tree, and as parameters we have loop iterations as 3, which was what we entered. Next we'll drag and drop a 2D frame scan, and straight away you can see that the configuration of a 2D frame scan is quite different from what we saw for the loop.start earlier. So we've now entered a settings update mode, and you can see a settings update guide which tells you that a 2D frame scan settings update is in progress, and it tells you that you need to make the required changes in the SciScan UI. Another way to know that it's the settings update mode is the flashing confirm button. So we'll put that aside for a moment and move the windows out of the way. And we can configure the frame scan settings to the values that we need. So I'll change the number of frames to acquire to 26. And maybe leave the rest of the settings the way it is. And I'll press focus to make sure that the settings is okay and it's what I need. So I'm also moving my stage to get to a position where I would like to acquire data from. So I'll go ahead and find the position. And now that I'm happy with the position and my settings, I'll go and click confirm the flashing button. And this saves our settings that we just configured to a file. You can notice an orange highlight next to the 2D frame scan. So if I clicked on it, it opens up a warning window which reads something to the effect that it's recommended to have a move to position command before any scan to ensure that we are at the right position. So I'll close the warning window and drag and drop a move to position command, which opens up a configuration window. Now since we are happy with the position that the stage is at right now, I'll just confirm. I'll add another move to position command to move to a new position where we want to acquire another scan. So I'll start focusing and move the stage to find our new position that we want to acquire from. One thing that you can notice is that the position update window has a default option of updating the current stage position. So if you move the stage, the current position gets automatically grabbed. So that's the update current position option. So now that I'm happy with the new position, I'll just confirm, and that should have the new position that we just set up in the parameters all updated. Next, I'll drag and drop a new 2D frame and modify the number of frames to acquire to 18 and confirm. Next, I'll add a pause command for a 5-second duration for a time delay before the loop continues. So I've dragged and dropped pause. You can see that the loop.start command is in red. This means that the macro has an error. Also, you can see that the run button is disabled, which effectively means you can't run this macro. So we need to clear the error first. So for that, I'll drag and drop a loop.end, and that should take the error away. So the red is gone and the run has been activated as well. Next, we look at how a delete operation is done on a macro element. So for that, I'll drag and drop a loop.end, which brings an error to the macro because there's no corresponding loop start. So for deleting, you drag from the macro into the available actions tree, which is opposite of how you would add a new action. Now that we have set up our macro, we can go ahead and run it. So if I go and click run, it starts execution. So it has executed a move to position, updated the settings, and is currently running a 2D frame scan. So we'll move the macro window to the side, and you can see that the frame scan is in progress. The command currently being executed is the one that is highlighted in the list. So at the moment it's a 2D frame scan. All the data acquired during a macro run gets saved in your default folder as configured using SciScan, along with the zipped version of the macro that you're actually used to acquire the data. Now it started the second iteration of the loop, and the same sequence of events will follow. Note that during a macro run, some of the user interface components of both the SciScript module and the SciScan module is disabled. This is to ensure that clicking any of these wouldn't interfere with the actual running of the macro. These would be re-enabled once the macro execution finishes. Alternately, if you want to use any of these controls for some reason, you can always abort the macro using the abort button, which is essentially the run button, which does both the jobs. This number here in the info table, 2 of 3, indicates the number of loops that have completed execution. The execution timing cluster here gives you approximate timing details such as estimated time, the time remaining, and the time that has elapsed. The macro execution is now complete, and all the controls that were disabled earlier has been re-enabled. Next, we look at the edit functionality. So if I select the 2D frame scan and click edit, you will get this settings update guide and the blinking confirm button, which shows that you are in the settings update mode. So I'll move the SciScript window to the side and modify the settings for the 2D frame scan from the main user interface as indicated in the settings guide. So if I change the number of frames and if I'm happy with the rest of the settings, I can press confirm, and we have exited the edit mode. Similarly, I can edit the number of iterations for the loop. And if I'm happy, just go ahead and click OK. And similarly for the pause duration as well. So that's all done. Next, we'll see how we'll save this macro to a file. So below we have the file IO cluster, which has an option called save. You can find out that the current file is unsaved because of the star in the path, and then there's a red coloration as well to indicate that. So if I click on that, I get the file browser where I can specify the location and the name to which I want to save the macro file. So I'll just enter the name and press OK. So now the file is saved, and the star indicating unsaved is gone, and you have the path indicated there as well. Next, we'll try the copy or the save as option. So first I'll remove the move to position to make a change, and you can see that there's an orange indicating a warning. So I'll click the file browser and enter the new file name to which I want to save. And if I click OK, you get a new copy, and the path has changed there as well. Next, I'll clear this macro by clicking on new. Next, I'll load the macro that we had saved the first time. So I click load and explore to the file and click OK. This brings a window which warns you that it's best practice to clear all commands that record positions. This is because your positions could change because your sample position has changed. So to prevent any damage to either your sample or your equipment, it's highly recommended that you clear all positions. So that's essentially the first option, the green option, which is recommended. So we'll choose that and click OK. So you can see that clearing the position has created 2 errors. So to know what the error is, you could go and click in the info table, and it says that you have incorrect number of parameters entered. It's because all the position details are gone. So to clear the error, you could click on the command and then click edit like we have seen before. Alternately, you could grab the positions if you have saved in the position save module by clicking on this get positions button. So if I clicked on that, it would open a new window. I can then select the positions that I want, and that would automatically add move to position commands into the macro. So I'll cancel this for now. What we shall do is to open up the position save module, and from there go to positions that is already saved, and then use that to edit the move to position commands. So I can press focus to make sure that this is the position that we need, and if you are happy, then go back to the SciScript module and edit the move to position commands. So we know that the position is what we want. So go ahead and press OK. Go back to the position save module and find the next position of interest. So go to, and again, if you're happy with the position, go back to the SciScript again and then press edit and OK. So now you've got the new positions updated. So you can see that the file is not saved by the coloration and the star in the file path. So I'll just go ahead and click save. Next, we will look at the preview feature, which lets you test the macro by stepping through the actions one by one and allowing you to verify the position and scan settings. On launching preview, you will get a message warning you of potential stage movements which could damage your sample or equipment. This could happen if your sample has moved since you set up the positions, or if your stage coordinate system has been reset. Now we'll go ahead and preview the macro. So I just click OK, and that would start the preview. So it first executes a move to position, and it brings up the option to edit the positions. So I'll press focus to verify that the position is what I want. So I'm happy now, and I click confirm. So next it runs the settings configuration for the frame scan. So I can similarly check if the settings are okay, and if required, change the settings to what I want it to be. So since I'm happy, I'll click confirm again. So similarly, it goes to the next position and ask you for confirmation. So we'll just go ahead and verify the position and confirm once we are happy. And similarly for the next frame scan as well. And go back and check if the settings are okay and confirm. So that finishes the preview, and we are all ready to run the macro. So this concludes the introductory video to the SciScript module. For more information, please have a look at the online manual or contact your Scientifica representative.